What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm BLAIDEN Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We're going to recap Week 6 of the NFL season, of course. And there were a lot of upsets today. Most of our locks, actually all of our locks, were pretty much in the mud after the 1 o'clock games. Not ideal, but before we get into all of those, whether it be the Giants game or the Vikings game, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing today?
You guys have some things to answer for. I don't think we're not going to talk
Justin Tucker.
about
are you talking about Justin Tucker?
He sucks now, huh? He's
doinking a 56-yard field goal off the upright.
He's good.
He saved a touchdown on a kickoff. There's a long kickoff return that he made a tackle on. So he's still in the plus category. There is the -3 for the missed field goal, but there's the plus. There's the +7 for the saved touchdown. So he's
probably dropping to the 101st best player.
He's not good anymore. It's okay. He's had a very nice run. No one can deny that.
It's okay. He's washed. It's understandable.
He is no longer accurate. He is no longer strong.
It's a what have you done for me lately league, and lately Justin Tucker missed a kick today. So
yes, and it's costly too. They didn't end up losing by that much. So yeah, I'm sure that you were kicking your feet in the air and giggling when you saw that.
Bro was jumping up and down.
Yes, my voice. I was just in Colorado on a lovely vacation. If you can ever make it to Telluride, Colorado, it is an extremely beautiful drive up from Flagstaff to Southern Colorado in fall colors and all that. Just gorgeous, stunning stuff. So that was fun. And I lost my voice during the trip for whatever reason. I don't know if it's lingering COVID or something new. I don't know. But my voice was basically gone the last 2 days. So I was questionable for the podcast, but I'm here. My voice might crack a little bit. Like I'm Kirk Cousins doing a cadence, but,
we'll forgive you.
You'll just have to forgive me. Yeah. But, I feel fine outside of that.
Good.
That's good.
So you had a good vacation though?
I did have a very good vacation. It was fun. Colorado. Right. Never been to Colorado before, and it was just gorgeous. Honestly, driving from town to town, whether that be Ouray or Ridgeway or Telluride or Sawpit, which is just all the places where we were. The car rides were honestly my favorite part, just because of just how gorgeous everything was there in the fall. So,
see any cool creatures?
Did I see any cool creatures? Nothing too crazy. I saw some trout. I saw some rainbow trout. I didn't bring a pole, so I couldn't catch them. A lot of magpies up there, which are an elite common bird for a bird just to be hopping around like a pigeon or a grackle downtown, of anywhere. Usually they're just kind of mid. Magpies are certified. So saw some magpies, saw some trout, but nothing too crazy, I don't think.
Okay. I've only been to Colorado for connecting flights, but
the Denver airport does not capture the beauty of the whole
it does
state,
not.
No.
From what I've heard, it's a pretty immaculate visit. So
yes, it was very nice. It was very
maybe
nice.
I'll have to take a trip out there sometime. But everyone, make sure you subscribe to the Stay Hot YouTube channel if you have not already, and of course follow us on Instagram at StayHotBW. That is at StayHotBW. BW as in Blue Wire on Instagram.
If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone Plus games in 4K at no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Watch on all your devices and never miss a game or episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubo TV for free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/stayhot. That's FUBOTV.com/stayhot.
I figured we might as well just hop into the team that everyone's wondering about. The New York Football Giants. They just beat the Baltimore Ravens today. That was a game that I had locked the Ravens to beat the Giants because I thought the Giants were fraudulent. I'm like, you know what? They've beat up on some sorry teams, but this is probably where the road ends. They're going against the MVP. It's over for them. But that is not what happened at all. Saquon had a good game, and the Giants defense came to play, especially at the end of the game, forcing an interception and a strip sack on Lamar.
Their secondary has been the most surprising thing to me. I think that this was their first pick. They didn't have an interception in this game, but Love and Fabian Moreau and Adoree Jack, I really thought that Wink Martindale and his blitz heavy, like last year in Baltimore, right? They'd send pressure and leave their secondary on the back end on islands. And of course, they were so ravaged by injuries last year that wasn't a good idea, but he did it anyway. Going into this year after they cut James Bradbury, who is showing tonight that he's still a quality corner, I was like, what does this team have in the secondary to be able to play that way? And they've been able to play that way. And I get the they haven't faced a lot of high-end receiving talent.
Right.
Like, Bateman was out this game, so it's like Duvernay. And I don't even know who number 10 was on the Ravens today that I saw getting a lot of burn, or Lazard versus the Packers and Cobb and Dobbs. And they've played the Titans, who don't have like this crazy stellar receiving core. Right. And so they haven't like a team maybe with a really elite receiving core, or even a really elite receiver could exploit that weakness a little bit more than the teams they've faced. But still, even these weaker receiving cores I thought would be better than the secondary was. And that's just not been the case. They've been holding up well. And I think of all the units, outside of maybe Saquon and Andrew Thomas, but like as a unit of the team that's really impressed me has been that secondary group. Because I really thought it was going to be pretty brutal this year. And it just hasn't been.
Yeah. The one thing is, the NFC East has a really easy schedule. Like collectively, like we talk about, the Eagles might go 15-2 or something stupid just because of how easy their schedule is. I mean, that's kind of the same thing with the Giants at this point. This was really their hardest game, I thought, outside of like they played the Eagles twice, but that's like towards the end of the year, and they'll play they'll play the Cowboys again, and I think they play Minnesota, right? But they don't play a lot of like really hard games. All the games, towards the middle stretch of the season aren't any harder than the ones they've already played. And I'm like, they're 5-1 right now. What is stopping them from making a long run in the regular season, getting to the playoffs?
And they had the easiest schedule before the season. I mean, during the season, if you look at the teams they've played, I think that the Titans they don't have a losing record. The Packers don't have a losing record. The Ravens don't have a losing record. The Cowboys, they're 3-1. Like the teams the Giants have played are not exactly like, I don't know if the Ravens and the Packers are going to, especially the Packers at this point. I don't know if or the Titans, they're not going to win the Super Bowl or anything at this point, right? But I don't know. They've racked up some wins that are not against. It's not like they beat the Texans. Oh, they beat the what other teams suck? The Commanders or the Bears or the Panthers. Well, they did beat the Panthers, but they've beaten maybe some teams that are mid.
Sorry, man.
But the last 2 weeks have not exactly like they were underdogs, I think, in both of the last 2 weeks, and people would have said, "Oh, well, now they'll get exposed." And they haven't. Not that they've played like the Bills or anything, but no team out there just goes out there and just consistently beats the best teams in the league. And there's only like 3 teams that are actually like that this year. So no one's really beat the Dolphins beat the Bills, the Colts beat the Chiefs, but and no one's beat the Eagles yet. So
yeah, I mean the Eagles. Last I checked,
outside of those two teams, the Eagles were elite competition,
beating the absolute dog shit out of the Cowboys. Last I checked, I don't know if it's still like that, but
I believe it is.
I don't know.
Love to see
I have a hard time buying them.
The Giants.
Still, the Giants.
Yeah, there is, to an extent, you are what your record is, but I got burned really bad on saying that about the 11-0 Steelers.
I remember that year.
Season did not go that way.
Yeah.
It's just like, because you were talking about a little bit earlier, Theo, about like, okay, so are they a potential player in the playoffs? And it's like, man, now Saquon's banged up. They didn't run the ball well today. Daniel Jones, it's the bar is so low that when he even has just a mediocre game, it's like, nice. I just have a hard time believing it once they get to the playoffs. But the whole NFC's out of whack. So, I mean, they're winning the games. And yeah, Packers and Ravens have been nice wins, but I don't know.
And I guess it depends on what it is. Like, I'm not buying it. What is it? I don't think
they'll make the playoffs, and I think they'll lose early. That's my guess.
That's valid.
But I think that is
respectable.
I think that is it. If this is, or do you buy them as a playoff team? Like, I don't know.
I buy them as a playoff team because they currently have 5 wins and the NFC stinks. It's like, it's just, I buy it because they're like 60% of the way there win wise. This is how bad. I mean, dude, you know how many teams in the middle of a rebuild in the NFC right now are like, we might actually just make the playoffs. The Falcons are 3-3. The Seahawks are 3-3. The Giants are 5-1. Who is a threat in the NFC right now? The whole conference is out of whack.
I'm glad you brought that up, Matt.
Because what's happened?
What's
Matt,
happened?
go on. What has happened?
You think that like any given year, there's probably an even number of teams that are all in, right? And that's not necessarily the case. And what happened is that in the NFC, last year was a year. All of the NFC contenders were all in. And now this season, you've got 3 teams that are basically just like, they have unbelievably major flaws, and it's hard to see them making a Super Bowl run at the moment. And it's the Bucs, the Packers, and the Rams. The Rams completely fell apart. Their offensive line is miserable. They beat the Panthers. This says so little. I mean, it
was Panthers a one-score game, like well into the fourth quarter. It was a one-score
and Dante Jackson went out, who granted was playing a miserable game. They had no J.C. Horn. They had no Luvu. Dante Jackson's miserable, by the way, dude. He makes me so mad. But not to talk about the Panthers because there's.
How can you say that about a man who had a pick 6 today?
Yeah.
Well, then. And that's a questionable pick 6. Stafford is, and the other thing, Stafford's just completely fallen off the face of the earth. Oh my God, dude!
Stafford's going to break the record for most pick 6s in a career. Like, he's going to break it. It's a guarantee. Like, there's no way he doesn't before he retires. The other guys on that list are like Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Brett Favre. Like, these are like all the greatest quarterbacks ever.
You've got the Packers where it's like, their receivers aren't good enough.
Neither is their offensive line, really.
Yeah, their offensive line stinks. Their receivers stink. And then you've got the Buccaneers, who are just a mess right now. And with them, it's like Brady is the master of taking what the defense gives them. But that's actually kind of a backwards way of saying Brady needs the rest of the offense to create, kind of. And it's just the receivers are not what they were last year, or he just doesn't he hasn't been taking the deep shots to Evan consistently. And the offensive line
same
stinks.
deal with the Packers.
Yeah, the offensive line stinks. And Brady, the problem is, it's not the receivers. It's that Brady is so limited when it comes to like dealing with pressure, and his go-to strategy is that he gets the ball out quick. But the offensive line is so bad that he has to get the ball out quick so much that he just ends up throwing a million checkdowns. And that's where, it works for him for a long time. And I'm not saying it's like necessarily a him problem more than the offensive line, but like it'll be 3rd and long, and it's like he has to check it down. He's checking it down immediately. He's not because he's not going to buy himself more time. And on top of that, helped. They're the worst running team in the league.
Yeah, it helped a lot more when he had like Gronk, who could make things after the catch, but now he's throwing to like Evans, and
they've still got. They still have some weapons. Losing Gronk is big. It's huge,
it is huge. Evans is a great receiver. It's just it's not the same.
Well, if you lose your great tight end, you lose your great tight end.
Yeah,
but it's
you
just
lose Jason Pierre-Paul, and you lose everybody gets, you lose Ndamukong Suh. Everybody gets a little older, Levante David. And I think of the meme. There is no passion. There is no vision. There is no fucking mindset in this football club. And when I watch teams like the Rams and the Packers and the Bucks, it just seems like their Super Bowl window has closed a little bit. And that, especially watching Green Bay, that's what it feels like. There is no passion. The team just has no heart. And same with the Buccaneers a little bit. I mean, after the game,
Brady has been
Bowles
very
said,
passionate.
He has been. He was yelling.
I'll give him that.
But after the game, Bowles was like, we got to stop coasting off the Super Bowl. He said, like, we got to wake up. And we've got guys on this team who are coasting off praise from a long time ago. We're not like that anymore. You can't like take things for granted like that. And that's, I think, the same thing with the Packers. It's just like everyone just seems grumpy, and Rodgers is cussing people out every play. And in the locker room, like last week, Jair said, "I'm not worried. If we lose next week, I'll be worried." Well, we lost. Yeah, they lost this week. So now people are worried. Aaron Jones is saying that he wants the ball more. Like a usually pretty harmonious guy is kind of speaking up. And it just seems like a lot of these teams with the older quarterbacks, whether that be Stafford or Rodgers or Brady, like it's kind of the end of an era there, and we're entering a new one in the NFC. And it's just kind of a transitional period, which allows for this weirdness. So tying this back to the Giants, like, I don't buy into them as a Super Bowl contender. I just don't see a world where they beat the Bills. Like they go down to Glendale and they beat the Bills in the Super Bowl, or even they beat the Eagles. But man, like outside of the Eagles in this NFC, like I do buy them as being like as good as anybody, because they have heart. They have a mindset.
It's very
there is
clear.
Passion. There is vision. There is a fucking mindset in this football club. That's what the Giants have. And most years that wouldn't be good enough, but this year it kind of seems like it might be. So yeah, I buy them as like contenders to make the playoffs in this NFC. But do I buy them to win the Super Bowl? True contenders to be the best team in football this year, and that's tougher to say.
Yeah, I know a lot of people talk about like certain teams being fraudulent, right? Like the Giants. Oh, the Giants are fraudulent. The Vikings are fraudulent. Oh, some people will even still try and say the Eagles because maybe they don't believe in Jalen Hurts yet. Whatever. At some point, someone has to like win the NFC, right? They can't all, if everyone's fraudulent, someone has to still win the NFC. So hypothetically, right, the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants, those teams could all make the playoffs at this rate. That's not
expect them to, honestly.
Right? At this rate, that would be the expectation.
Who's going to come back and catch them? The Falcons, the Saints,
right?
Like the Packers, like.
Well,
yeah, maybe the Packers.
Yeah, maybe that's maybe the Packers, but the Vikings at this rate are probably going to win the North.
Yeah.
The Bucks, you would say, probably going to win the South, but the Falcons are right on their heels.
Shout out Arthur Smith, man.
Shout out Arthur Smith, man. And then the 49ers will probably win the West, right? So it's like, are the 49ers the 49ers a team you're super confident in with Jimmy G? Not really. With Trent Williams hurt? Not really.
With a healthy defense, I am. They were
Maybe.
missing so many starters on their defense today that like depends on how fast those guys can get healthy.
Right.
If they can get healthy pretty quick here, I feel pretty a healthy 49. I still have faith in that team.
Yeah.
If the defense is healthy, but if not, I mean they lost to the Falcons today. But I want to talk about the Vikings because that's a team that's 5-1 as well. Quietly,
do you believe in the Vikings?
I'll open it to you guys. Do you guys believe in the Vikings?
I mean, do we ever believe in Kirk Cousins? Is that something that we're...
What is believing in the Vikings?
Do you believe that they could make it out of the NFC? Do you think they could represent the NFC in the Super Bowl? Do you think they could be the best team in the NFC? You don't.
I don't think so. I think the one thing that does scare me is I know it's like the cliche quarterback thing. It's Kirk Cousins. The defense this year is healthy, which is great, right? We're seeing some explosive Dalvin Cook plays, which is great. Justin Jefferson's been great, but like primetime Kirk Cousins he's just non-existent. Any big game, I can't trust him. I don't know.
Well, what if you so Okay, so you don't trust primetime Kirk Cousins, but what if they don't have many more primetime games coming
Well,
up?
not prime, but like a playoff game. You have to play a playoff game against
two.
Again, I guess that's fair. Yeah, if you're going against the Giants, who maybe have a secondary that's worth their salt, right? The Eagles we know are worth their salt. We're watching them just completely destroy the Cowboys, given Cooper Rush. But hey, Cooper Rush has been undefeated to this point. I guess, yeah. I don't know. The teams that I guess I would worry about them against would be like the Bucks, maybe the Niners, a healthy Niners team, and the Eagles. Those would be the teams that you would really worry about. But I guess those would be the teams you would worry about any playoff team against.
I think the Vikings could represent the NFC, but I just think the NFC is really weak right now. You look at what they've done, it's like a close game against the Saints, a close game against the Bears. It's like, it doesn't move me to an insane extent, but I do think the Vikings defense has some juice, and I think obviously their offense does. They've got some good skill positions. They're not going to be my pick over like the Eagles, but it also wouldn't stun me if they turned it around and pulled it out. I probably like them maybe a little bit less than like a healthy 49ers team, but it's also the NFL playoffs, and it's to say any division winner just can't make the Super Bowl is, I think, a pretty bold take, and I think there's a very good chance the Vikings win the division.
I'm not totally buying them. I think, Blaiden, you said that the Eagles are far and away, or whatever you said, the best team in the NFL. I defend that. Why are they far and away better than the Bills?
I mean, are you watching? I don't know. I feel like when I watch the Eagles, I'm like, there is nothing that I feel they can't do. Their play calling's immaculate. Week in, week out, they have great play calling. Their defense is out of this world. Didn't. I guess, yeah. Last week was kind of a fluke. Their play calling tonight's been great against Dallas, against that pretty strong front seven with featuring D-Law and Parsons. They've done a great job. Their defense is great. Like I don't see a weakness on the Eagles team, and I guess you don't really see a weakness on the Bills either, except for one thing: running the football. The Eagles can run the football. That is they have that change of pace that the Bills just don't have, and I think that could be the one thing that could pull them ahead.
I think when you look at both the offense and the defense, the Bills are right there with the Eagles in terms of like how effective their offense is, and in terms of how effective their defense is.
The Bills' defense might be better. I might give them the Bills' defense is great. Von Miller looks out of this world. Jordan Poyer apparently was not cleared to fly. So
he's out for the season, no?
Hyde.
That's Hyde. Hyde.
Right.
Poyer was supposedly not cleared to fly. So he drove to Kansas City and played today, which is bonkers. Like, shout out Jordan Poyer for that. So I do love the Bills defense. So I might give them a small edge there. But like, I'm just looking like at when they show like the screen of the defensive lineup for the Philadelphia Eagles, and you just read off the list, and it's like Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Javon Hargrave, Hassan Reddick, and then they go into the secondary. It's like Darius Slay and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Like, I'm just like, everyone here is it's stacked. Not to mention the Eagles corners, Bradbury and Slay, have allowed the lowest passer rating of any two corners in football thus far this year.
They're very good. I just don't think they're head and shoulders above the Bills.
Maybe not.
Look at the offensive and defensive output.
I guess that to say they're head and shoulders above the Bills, maybe not, but above like another.
I think they're head and shoulders above the other NFC teams. I think I would take.
I'll give you that.
I don't buy the Vikings that much. That's what I'm saying. I guess I don't buy the Vikings over the Eagles at this point. I don't buy really any team in the NFC East over the Eagles at this point, besides maybe the Cowboys with Dak. I think that they could threaten the Eagles with Dak. Yeah. That's kind of the big wild card. But the Vikings so far, they're 5-1, which is better than They look better than basically all the other NFC teams, but they do have some, I think, pretty glaring weaknesses so far. And that's basically that all their non-Justin Jefferson receivers are bad. Not bad, but
Thielen's solid.
He got locked up by, I'm going to butcher the name, Noah Egbare, something like that. I don't know what it is.
Lions.
It's a long last name, and he's not a very relevant player. He was a first round bust, and he was like in man coverage. The Vikings are one of the worst teams versus man coverage, and Jefferson, his yards per route run is double the next best Vikings receiver. Like if he were to go down, like, I just don't know how much separation this wide receiver room would be getting. And today, against a very man-heavy team, the Dolphins, I mean, I think they just crossed the 100-yard threshold, like, in the third quarter of this game. Like, that defense was clamps for a large portion of this. There was a crazy interception that gave them the ball, like, in the red zone, or very close to it at the end of the first half that let them put some points on the board. The second half, things picked up a little bit more, but they just can't beat, like, they don't have the guys outside of Jefferson to really win one-on-ones. And I expected Thielen to have a little bit more juice than I think he does right now. That's a problem. Their passing attack has been pretty average this year. I thought, especially after the first game, that putting Kirk Cousins in a McVay type of scheme would result in some of the most efficient quarterback play we would see this season. Kirk Cousins' EPA has been in the negatives so far this year. And he's basically gotten outplayed, at least from an efficiency standpoint, in every single game this year. I wrote down some numbers. First of all, the average depth of target, Cousins gets beat every week in that by usually a pretty substantial amount. He's kind of dinking and dunking, and other quarterbacks are able to kind of get these chunk plays on the Vikings corners, on the Vikings defense. So not only is his average depth of target usually significantly below the other quarterbacks, he's also getting like out efficiencyed by those quarterbacks. His EPA was lower than Bridgewater today. His EPA was lower than Fields last week. His EPA was lower than Dalton 3 weeks ago or 3 games ago. His EPA was lower than Goff 4 weeks ago. So they're a team, and it's not usually by much, but they're a team that isn't like I would say like it's less of a passing league than it has been before, but like their passing offense has been a little bit disappointing to me, and their supporting cast outside of Jefferson has been a little bit disappointing to me. They're not bad at anything. They're not a bad passing offense. They're not a bad rushing offense. They're not a bad rushing defense. They're not even like a horrible passing defense. Like they're not bad at any of that. But it's like Danielle Hunter has been a little bit more invisible than I thought he would be when he came back from injury and had a sack in his first game. They're near the bottom. They're lower than you'd like to see in pressure right now without Zimmer. They're just like fine across the board.
Fine doesn't get to a Super Bowl.
It beats the Bears. It beats the Saints with It beats the Saints with Dalton by a double doink field goal. It beats the Lions. It beats the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson playing for, not half a quarter, and then Bridgewater playing the other 3. Yeah. It can even beat the mid Packers. But like, there is an elite team. I agree, Blaiden, that the Eagles are like one of the elite teams in the league right now. Like the Dolphins or the Vikings and the Giants are both 5-1. They're both, I think, I buy them making the playoffs. I buy them being like having a good regular season and ending with a good record. But do I buy them like you need to be an elite team to win the Super Bowl? I don't quite buy the Vikings as that is excited as I was about them after the first game.
There's reasonably, I think there's only 3 teams that really fit the bill of like a Super Bowl caliber team, and it's the Eagles.
I would definitely take them over the field. The Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles.
When I look at the NFC right now, I think the 3 teams where I'm like, okay, they're relatively legit is a healthy 49ers, a healthy Cowboys, and the Eagles. Everyone else. And I think the
Cowboys
Vikings with Dak still.
Cowboys with Dak can hold their own weight for sure.
And maybe somehow the Packers sign Odell or trade for Robbie Anderson or who knows. But
Oh, well, let's talk about Robbie. We're talking about the NFC. I do want to talk about Robbie Anderson, who left the field in a huff.
He got kicked out. They said,
he got kicked out.
Home.
Yeah, no, he didn't leave. He got kicked out.
Sent him to the showers.
He said it was because he wasn't in the game on third down, which I guess I would be mad too, but a lot of receivers aren't in the game on third down.
It's so stupid because it's like it's PJ Walker,
the wide receiver coach. Right.
Yeah, it's PJ Walker throwing the ball, so it didn't really make a difference who the hell is in at wide receiver. They ain't getting him, man. I've never I don't know if you've had a chance to watch this game, either of you two, but like they just totally could. Like they did not throw the ball down the field ever. They can't do it entirely. And I mean, they put Jacob Eason in.
I was about to say Jacob Eason. Well, no, because
they're gonna have to go.
Walker got hurt.
Yes, dude. I mean, this is just. In spite of it all, they find the way. They're a miserable team right now.
This is the 2016
for
Browns.
Robbie Anderson.
This is the 2016 Browns all over again.
There are reasons for Robbie Anderson to be frustrated. I don't think he's like coming out of a place that's like completely invalid. But here's the thing: not talking about the Panthers, talking about Robbie Anderson and his trade value. Because the guy wants to be gone. Like, clearly, he has been nothing but a grump since he got to Carolina.
They can't move him, man.
They can't move him.
I don't have the heart to break
this
to
He's
Panthers
not
fans.
helping his trade value
now. Do not go to over the cap. Do not look at the Panthers over the cap. Do not look at Robbie Anderson's dead money. Do not do that. The Packers will trade as a second-round pick. Yes.
If he's getting cut, I think if he doesn't want to be there, but will he get cut? He has so much dead money.
No, they don't.
What's his dead money?
I don't believe that they can. I don't believe they can afford to cut him. I think it would put them over the cap. That's how much the dead money is.
How much is the dead money?
If they were to release him, I believe it would be $20 million in just dead money.
This is a great
for
team.
Robbie Anderson. No one is trading for that. He's grumpy. He's a locker room. I don't know if he's a locker room cancer. I'm not there, but he certainly seems to be. Considering that Baker, considering that when Baker was rumored to be there, he was like, "No, don't trade for Baker."
He got kicked out of the game by his own team. We can call him a locker room cancer a little bit. It's okay.
Not to say that there's not reasons to be frustrated with the kid. He just has no. He's the 13th highest paid wide receiver in the league. Is he the 13th best receiver in the league?
Dude, Matt Rule just did not care. He was paying his buddies. That's all. He just wanted his friends on the team.
Were they even
know
friends,
that he went
man?
To Temple. I didn't know that
he went to Temple. We must sign. This really is like if I ran a football team, except I'm an Ohio State and Cincinnati fan, so the team would be a little bit better. It would work out.
It would be like Bosa. It would be the Bosa brothers and Sauce. You'd have no draft picks because you've traded up into the top 5 to get those guys. But yeah,
well, except your quarterback would be like Justin
Ritter.
Fields or Ritter.
It'd be Ritter, man.
The Ritter Fields quarterback battle,
and that thing is a whole disaster. My hot take, not to talk Panthers, they're not going to trade anybody. All of them have these horrible contracts that no one will take. They're not trading anybody.
Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, I just thought that was a funny thing that ought to have been talked about was Robbie Anderson getting kicked out of the game.
Dude,
I have another take about this. Sideline reporters. What the fuck? Okay. What is the point of a sideline reporter? Okay. I was so mad because I was watching this game. Robbie Anderson is yelling. He's in the face. He's like, the coach almost charged at him. Crazy shit is going down on the Panthers sideline. They go to the sideline reporter and she's like, they told me that it was not injury related. What are you down there for if you can't tell me more than that?
You don't even got to go ask. Just stick the microphone close to him. Man.
Just get an earshot, please. There's so many people on the sideline. There's the sound guys. There's the guys holding the sticks. Someone knows what's going on. Someone knows what's mad. We need a war correspondent on the sideline. We need someone who is willing to kind of toe the line between journalistic integrity to get us the scoop here. What are you down there for? There's multiple screaming matches in this game, and you're literally sitting there and you can't tell. They're like, oh, it's just not injury related. Who cares what they're telling you? Go get the story. You're a journalist, for God's sakes. And they have to go out.
Theo is furious.
I was furious when I heard that. I'm like, man, what's the point of a sideline reporter? Seriously, if you cannot tell me what is going on the sideline.
To bother the coach after the first quarter or whatever.
Yeah, just to get you, like, literally all you're doing is just getting we just got to, commit to our game plan and we're going to run it.
Hey, Coach, you're losing at halftime. Do you plan on winning this game?
We got to win the turnover battle.
And sometimes and I feel like a lot of the times, right, like that's acceptable because there's nothing really going on the sideline besides stuff with the game plan and you just have. But when there's like a meltdown happening and you're a sideline reporter, like go find out why that happened.
Imagine if when Antonio Brown ran off the field that there had been a sideline reporter there and just been like, so what's going on, Antonio?
If Walter Cronkite was there, that's what would have happened. All right. We need to revamp sideline. We need war correspondents. We need tougher people. All right. What
happened to man?
I'm sorry.
This generation can't sideline report for shit, man.
Look, it's yeah.
What happened
I don't know.
Man?
I don't
Cowboys
know.
17, Eagles 20, by the way.
Oh, I posted a TikTok that said, if you think that Dak should have started over Cooper Rush, or if you think Cooper Rush started, you're stupid and you don't have any critical thinking skills. That's what I posted at halftime.
Cooper Rush just wins, man. Sorry, he's
Cooper
a winner.
Rush just wins.
He's just a winner.
I'm kind of hoping they don't pull this out, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't pull this out too.
They're undoubtedly the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, mostly because
we
just spent like 5 minutes talking about why they're the undoubtedly best team in at least the NFC, if not the NFL.
Bills and Chiefs would have put this team away by now, sadly. But at any rate,
they can't handle Cooper Rush, I fear.
For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point in our academic careers. I took German for 3 years in high school, and I started off strong, but then I kind of faded down the stretch. Now, thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that sold more than 10 million subscriptions, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. Whether you'll be traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or you just have some free time, Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. I'm taking German on there now. I'm kind of going for round 2 there. A lot of my family is from Germany, and I'm able to connect to them in a much deeper way than I was before. And honestly, I'm learning it even more effectively than I was learning it back in high school. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go, and their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and of course, German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. Plus, unlike other language learning apps, you're not just limited to lessons. They offer podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Not to mention, it comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? My voice is sore because I've been using Babbel so much. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, save up to 60% of your subscription when you go to babbel.com/stayhot. That's babbel.com/stayhot for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life.
Did any other games happen today?
Nope.
Pittsburgh won. They were 10-point underdogs or whatever it was. And they went in and they beat the GOAT, Tom Brady, Mr. Perfect.
Not my GOAT.
Who is your GOAT?
Brady's the
probably
until he gets busted for like gene editing.
That's where I'm at with Brady too. Brady's the GOAT, but he's still overrated as the best quarterback of all time. He's the GOAT and all. Like at this point, I'm willing to there's never been.
But the Brady dick writing goes a little too far sometimes.
That's put this body of work before, but damn, he's not perfect. But yeah,
you know what bothers me? You know what my takeaway from this is? I'm so sick. I've had to hear this for my entire life. The whole Brady's mad, you better watch out. This doesn't mean anything. Him and going and yelling at his receivers on the sideline does not move the needle. He's a very talented quarterback. That's why he wins. If he wasn't a talented quarterback, it would make no difference how mad he was. It just doesn't matter. And
I feel like that happens. Oh, go ahead.
And it's like anytime a player wins a bunch of championships or is one of the best, people are like, well, however they act must just be the perfect way to act as well. They must also have that. And it's like, no, not necessarily. Not really. That's not how that works. And he's just freaking out on the sideline, man. It's not a good thing. It's not.
Yeah,
I don't care.
If I was going through a divorce, I'd probably be a little upset too.
This offensive line was better. It'd be different. It's just
to piggyback off that point. I also feel that way about in the NBA, especially. Here comes masked Booker. Here comes masked Embiid.
Untucked jersey
Kyrie.
I feel like that's a little bit more of a gag.
At one point, those players did go off with those things. But whenever there's some modification to their aesthetic, people are like, watch out. And I feel like 95% of the time, it does not matter. I remember watching Masked Booker and being like, this guy, Masked Booker stinks. Masked Booker is not that good. Or there have been so many times where LeBron will look angry or something. They'll be like, oh, here it comes. And then it's just,
he's just a good player. He's probably
just a good player all the time. But when he's down by 10, he's always going to look a little intense. That doesn't mean he's always going to overcome double-digit leads, But I feel
it's that whole look good, feel good, play good. If you can get yourself in a little bit of a mentality, I don't know. It can make a little bit of a difference.
It can make a little bit of a difference.
Not to the extent that people make it out to be.
Twitter freaks out whenever anybody looks angry.
It's you're playing a video game, right? It's time to focus up, right? You're sitting back in bed, playing video games, and you start losing. You sit up. It's all right, time to lock in, right?
But I don't always lock in when I do that. Half the time I do that, and then I throw a pick and Madden anyway.
Right? You're playing.
It doesn't mean I win.
You're playing 2K Reg. You're all right, boys, let's lock in. You're down.
All right, let's
10,
lock in.
And then you go down 20.
That doesn't always mean that I win. Sometimes it does, but not always.
Sometimes.
Anyway, where were we?
We were talking about the Steelers beating the Bucs.
How did they do it?
They got lucky, I fear.
A little bit. A little bit. Mitch Trubisky did pick up multiple third down and very longs in the second half of that game. Chase Claypool came up big for them time and time again. And I don't think did any of their wide receivers have touchdowns today? I don't think they did. Claypool did. First wide receiver on the board with the touchdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Season.
Good Lord.
He had a great game. He kind of bailed them out towards the end. And I think the defense played pretty well. Alex Highsmith, I'm going to have to make a video on him because he's been a really effective pass rusher off the edge this whole year. He had a strip sack on Brady. But I think that it is kind of just bend but don't break. They won the hard way. Right. There were multiple 10-plus play drives that the Buccaneers had that all ended in field goals. They won because they had a long kick return that went into the red zone, and they picked up multiple third down and longs towards the end. And the Buccaneers would drive down into the red zone, and then they'd hold them to the field goal. They won. It was a really kind of gritty, ugly win for them. They won the hard way, but they kind of saved their season here. They beat a decent team in the Buccaneers. They if they go to 1-5, it is officially over. I said they were maybe the worst team in the league after last week in their upcoming schedule, maybe in contention for that number 1 overall pick. But they had a little bit of hope. Pickett exited this game with a concussion, so we'll see about that. But I don't know if they're not gonna make them. I don't anticipate them really turning their season around to a major degree, but it's always good to win. You know,
It is
an
It's almost
embarrassing
nice to get
loss
one.
would have really meant there's no reason to pay attention to the rest of the season.
One
But
team in the
now
AFC
there's-
North had an embarrassing loss today, but we don't need to talk about that.
Oh yes, I didn't watch this one, but I did see a lot of "Is Bailey Zappi the next Brady?" Comments. He did have over 300 yards, which definitely made me
he did
raise
have
an
300
eyebrow.
yards.
He's great.
See, he hit 300
Bailey
yards.
Zappi
How did he do
did
it?
make some good like he was okay. Like he wasn't playing bad by any stretch, but it's hard to play bad when the Browns defensive backs could not cover anything. If you could like look at the average separation for the Patriots receivers,
Oh, you
it
can.
would be
Let me look
probably
it up.
like
You
Yeah.
know, can I
for this game.
Can I give?
Can you find
Can I
it for
give my
this game?
Browns take? I
Yo,
think their
you guys
defense
give your
is like.
takes, Will.
Yeah,
I think their defense is like so far away.
it's awful.
The
No,
number
it's
of like
terrible.
positive players they have on defense is so low. It's so much lower than people think, and it's their offense is going to be fantastic when Watson comes back, right? But
Yeah.
I think they've invested so much, and it's like, man, the roster is just they've got a lot of work left to do.
The defense is
Clowney on
horrendous.
another 1 year.
Yeah, he's on another 1 year.
So I mean, like, dude, it's like Ward and him.
yeah.
And that's
It's like Ward, Garrett, Delpit's a good pass rusher and he can shoot gaps really well. He can't cover to save his life. Watch Delpit try and guard someone one-on-one. He can't
and
do
like
it.
how much have they invested in this secondary? And it's like, nope, it's not that serious at all.
Greedy Williams got called for at least I think he got called for 2 PIs, but I know it was at least 1.
Williams is
Williams is on and off. He started to look good last year. Newsome didn't have a great game today. He was getting cooked by Jacoby Myers all day. It's just like it's a really bad defense. JOK's solid. I like JOK still, but it's really the interior defensive line is no good. The secondary is meh, and it's just overall it's just not a very good.
I mean,
defense.
this team has like a bad secondary. Their linebackers, say what you want about JOK. They've got one of the worst linebacker rooms in the entire
JOK's
league.
a small
and they've got-
linebacker, so he's not good against the run. Really,
right? And then you've got, I mean, the worst interior defensive line. It must be. It must. So it's.
And
it's
we're
just,
we're
it's-
starting like 4th round rookies, so yeah.
It's insane.
So the separation numbers. So if you look at the Browns, their receivers, the average separation at the time passes are completed. Amari Cooper, 1.2 yards of separation. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 1.3. David Njoku, 2. Those are their like
That adds
big
up.
3.
Yeah.
You look at the Patriots.
Jacoby Myers had to be
Jacoby
like
Myers
6.
4.13, which
Yeah.
is a lot. That's a lot.
It's a
That's
lot.
a lot. Jonnu Smith 4.36.
Yeah, that adds
Hunter Henry 4.1. Like,
Yeah.
dude.
I'm telling
Numbers
you,
in the-
it was bad.
4
It
yards of
was really
separation.
bad.
Like, that's 12 feet. That's 2 people
Yeah.
stacked on top of each other. that's a lot. Those are big windows in the NFL to hit.
So like yes, Zappi played well. 2 touchdowns, 300 yards, no picks. But he was throwing on air. Like,
Explain to me this negative 6 yard Zappy
What?
reception. I'm looking at the box score.
it got batted at the line and he caught it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What were they cooking?
Yeah,
But
he
just
threw it, got batted, and he just caught his own pass.
And the Browns, just in general this year, what's their record now? They won 2 games this year.
They're
2 and
4.
4 with wins against
4.
the Steelers,
Steelers.
and the Panthers. This
Yep.
does
Yes.
not move me.
When they traded for Watson,
really bad.
it was like before they traded for Watson, it kind of seemed like, man, this team is just a quarterback away. That's really what it felt like. Is like this team could be Super Bowl
I don't
contenders with
know.
a quarterback. They had such
The
a great
defense,
offensive
the
line.
defense was bad last year.
if you trade 3 first round draft picks and give a guy $250 million and you're not right there, you're making it really hard on yourself. It should be right there. Like you're like, I got a couple things this
And
offseason.
it seemed like
we needed
the Watson trade.
We needed to make
the edge
additions on
rushing duo.
defense, and we didn't.
They had a defensive player of the year candidate in Garrett, a guy who is in the conversation for best defender in the league. Newsome was playing like promising in his rookie year. You had Ward, you had Greedy Williams, you had John Johnson, you have Grant Delpit, you had a bunch of investments in the secondary. You had JOK, who I would consider has some star power. Was like,
I like JOK.
He was good his rookie year and a good edge rushing duo. Like, and you had a wide receiver one in Amari Cooper, and you're like, this team it could be a Super Bowl contender. It doesn't seem like that anymore. Like at all. Like even Amari Cooper is not a great wide receiver one at this point. No. I would say he's not like
the receiving core is subpar. The defense is worse than it was last year. Like not even like performance wise, like on paper, talent wise, it is a worse defense than it was a year ago. We lost that. We had a pretty solid interior defensive line. It was a lot of rotation and we had a lot of numbers. We lost all those guys. All those guys are gone from last year pretty much, except for I think Tommy Togiai, I think is the only one who stayed. Like the interior defensive line is just completely cooked. The linebacking core is basically the exact same, and it wasn't good last year. And I don't know. I don't even know if I would say the secondary is bad. It just there's a lot of stress on it to be very good. It's like Minka last year, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, Minka's not playing well." It's like, no, it's just Devin Bush is always out of position, and he always has to fix Devin Bush's mistake. That's the entire Browns secondary right now. Is they're trying to. I imagine that some of them are trying to do their job, but you know, when you're second, when the front seven, when the front to do their job. The defense works in layers. If one area isn't doing its job, it's harder on the next level up to do its job. So it's just a mess. It's just a mess. The Browns defense is a mess, and we put all these resources into a quarterback and didn't invest anything else into the defense, and that's what we needed to do.
Well, they're pretty much their only option is they're going to have to be unbelievably, ridiculously aggressive restructuring contracts next year.
Yep.
That's what they're going to do, because other than that, you're just saying, well, we give up because they have negative money next year. So
it's not like they're really got a ton of cap space. So they're going to have to or draft picks next year. So yeah, we'll see. And talking about the Patriots, this was a team that I think they can make some hay. Like I said in the last episode, they're a team that can make some hay over the next couple of weeks. They crushed the Browns today. Zappies look good. I would anticipate Mac Jones. Like there's not really a huge quarterback controversy between him and Mac Jones. I think once Mac Jones is healthy, Mac Jones is the starter. I think if Mac Jones really struggles once he's the starter, then there's the quarterback controversy. I think right now, once Mac Jones comes back, he's coming back. Yeah. And then from there, it's still his job to lose. But yeah, I mean, the Patriots, I think, could be a good team. They were a team before the season, we were talking about sleeper defenses. Like maybe Belichick can pull some magic out of his hat and like turn all these like kind of unknown secondary pieces into elite players, which has happened. And, you know, their offense is getting better after like really being slow in the preseason after not having an offensive coordinator. Now they're scheming up plays that are wide open, and Bailey Zappi's throwing for 300 yards right off the bat. So yeah, I think that New England looks pretty good and could contend for that wild card race. But I want to get into some of the other games because we don't have too much longer left.
I will say, if you do want to have a take about the quarterback situation in New England, I think the take can be that maybe Mac Jones is just very obviously a product of an amazing system. Like that literally any quarterback could succeed there, because Bailey, there's no reason you should be able to just walk in with Bailey Zappi and pull out back-to-back blowout wins. Like that, there's no reason for that.
Yeah, Belichick is a good coach, despite what the diehard Brady fans will tell you. Yeah. But I do want to talk for a moment about the game of the week. I don't think we learned anything new in this game.
Right.
We know, like,
those Chiefs.
These were just two juggernauts going head to head, and it was a great game, close, competitive game. That the Bills ended up prevailing, and we knew that these two teams were good. We knew it would be a good game. It was a good game. Josh Allen was, I think, just masterful in this one. Like that 99-yard touchdown drive with like a minute left at the end of the first half. Crazy stuff. The drive where he hurdled the dude and the pass to Dawson Knox in the end zone where it just went right over the outstretched hands of the safety and perfectly into Dawson Knox's hands. Like, amazing. Like, just, he was kind of out of his mind in this game. Mahomes was good, but I don't think he impressed me quite as much as Josh Allen did. But Mahomes was also quite good. But yeah, I think that kind of put Josh Allen back in the driver's seat for MVP. I think that's fair to say. That might be kind of a sweeping thing. And
I agree.
And I think that we saw what Von Miller can really, what that gives you, because they played him like the Bengals did last year. Their touchdowns all came on kind of man coverage. Whenever there was a one-on-one opportunity, they'd take it. And that's how that Gabe Davis touchdown happened. And that Stephon Diggs touchdown happened. And even that Dawson Knox, it was kind of one-on-one situations. Obviously, the Jamar Chase just mossed the Chiefs over and over again last year, and kind of same deal this year. And then the other thing the Bengals did was drop a bunch of people into coverage, like drop 8. And that's what the Bills were doing this year. And because they have Von Miller, they can still get pressure doing that. They were a really good defense last year, but they didn't quite have that dude who is like a bucket on the defensive line. They didn't have a dude who's going to cross someone up and break their ankles, right? Now they've got that guy in Von Miller, right? Yeah. They, real star power, as good as Milano is, as good as Rousseau is, as good as Ed Oliver is, and all that is. Like, they're all good players, but Von Miller is kind of in that different tier, and that really, like, they got him to win this game, and he won this game. So that was kind of my takeaway, was like, shout out Von Miller. And that contract, for as much money as it was, and as old as he is, if they can get a ring out of it,
he's got a lot of juice.
If they can beat the Chiefs and they can get a ring out of it, and it looks like they might, no one cares how much money you gave them. Yeah, it looks worth it now.
That's the thing with like everyone. It's like the Rams too. It's like the Rams put all these resources in last year to win a Super Bowl, and they did it.
Yeah,
it's like
you know what I think about that though. Don't get me wrong. You do whatever you have to do to win a Super Bowl. But, like, dude, if you're a Rams fan, you're sitting here like, man.
I don't think so.
Man,
I think if you're a Rams, I think you are perfectly okay for, like, 2 or 3 years.
I know. But I just think it's funny. It's like, dude.
Rams fans aren't happy right now. That's for sure. They wish the team was better.
Sure,
I'm
you wish
loving
the team was better.
Super Bowl. I'm not loving having no first-round picks for 40 years.
Fair. That might be the one thing that hurts you, is like if you're not good for like a decade after that.
I wish Hollins. I wish I didn't lose Von Miller and put in number 58 Hollins or whatever that is. Ow. Oh no, it's a bloodbath in here. There's got to be a better way to get my dagger clean and shiny more safely than this. This is what I used to deal with when I cut myself shaving before I knew about Manscaped. Thank you, Manscaped, for keeping my dagger slick and ready for wherever the night takes me. Manscaped is trusted by over 6 million men worldwide. Join the movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code STAYHOT. Spooky season is here, and Manscaped is getting you set with the 4th generation performance package, starting with their Lawnmower 4.0. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Also included is their Weed Whacker. This nose and ear hair trimmer is here to whack your weeds and any goblins that come your way. Both Lawnmower and Weed Whacker are waterproof. In the comfort of your home or in wild waters, these tools are your best friends. Speaking of your best friends, don't forget to give your testes the love they desire with Manscaped's liquid formulations. First is the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant. You put deodorant under your armpits, why not put deodorant on your balls? And can't forget about their Crop Reviver Ball Reviver to give the boys a boost. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers, and the Shed Travel Bag. So get 20% off plus free shipping with the code STAYHOT at manscaped.com. Spend spooky season using the best tools for the job at Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code STAYHOT. That is all caps, one word, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. and use code STAYHOT. Slay your worst pubes and keep your dagger clean with Manscaped. Let me talk about the Jets. Let me give the Jets some credit.
Jets and Packers. Yeah,
the
I need
Jets
to
are 4-2
to the Jets, I guess.
The Jets are 4-2. That is, I believe, second in the AFC. And they're a good team. I think that they're not a joke. They're not, oh, you lost to the Jets. L. Like, that may be some Packers. The Packers aren't very good, like I said. But, I have my problems with their quarterback, and Jets fans won't be happy unless I say they're good and it's because of their quarterback, right? They won't be happy unless that happens. I'm not going to say that. I don't think Zach Wilson played all that great. In fact, I think he played bad today.
He threw 18 passes and barely eclipsed 100
I think
yards.
that is incredibly interesting. They are not all of a sudden Flacco gone and
yeah, they were throwing 50 passes with Flacco and now 18 with Zach Wilson.
He threw one pass over 10 yards, and it was Corey Davis wide open on a double move. And then Corey Davis, it ended up being a contested catch because Corey Davis had to come to a full stop and work back through the corner. So I don't even think his one big play was necessarily a great throw from Zach Wilson. But Jets fans, they crave my approval on Zach Wilson. I don't have it, but Sauce Gardner has arrived. He is really good. His movement skills for a guy that big, it's really good. And he's not too skinny. He's not too skinny. He's not missing his jams at the line of scrimmage and getting beat deep. He's got the functional athleticism. It's really all coming together for him very quickly. And DJ Reed on the other side has been quite good as well. And LaMarcus Joyner has strung some good weeks together here, I think. And Quinnen Williams, Jesus Christ, that guy wrecked the game in a way that you do not see defensive tackles wreck a game very often. They could not block him. He was running dudes over. He was making plays. They were running away from him, and he was running guys down from the backside. He is easily a Pro Bowler so far this year, maybe even all pro, the way that he's been playing. Carl Lawson, he's made his impact, especially in the last game. He forced a big fumble to kind of break the game open against the Dolphins. Jermaine Johnson's been a solid rookie, especially against the run. Breece Hall, his vision has really translated. His pass catching ability has been
nice,
unlocked.
man.
He's really nice. He's really nice.
Hall's so good.
And they're the baby Jets. That's what Saleh said, is this is just a baby team with so many young players. And I think they're already feisty. I think they could have a winning record this year. I think they could contend for the wild card. This looks a little bit more like a San Francisco Shanahan type of offense with the quarterback just kind of playing point guard. And, Zach Wilson, as much as he was compared to Mahomes and Rodgers coming out, is not actually good at creating his own stuff out of structure. He has he almost threw 2 picks trying to do that today, but he's hitting guys in the flat and they're picking up yards after catch, and the run game is really cool. And you saw that trap play end around where Breece Hall broke up the long touchdown. There's they designed some cool runs today, some cool plays, and they look a little bit more like the New York San Francisco teams that you'd expect when they brought over Saleh and LaFleur. Their defense is playing well, and their offense is, despite a quarterback that I think is inconsistent at best, or to be fair, inconsistent. They're still moving the ball on offense, especially in the second half today. I think they're a feisty team, and I want to give them their credit. Yes, the Packers looked horrible, but a loss to the Jets isn't. They're 4-2. A loss to the Jets isn't a loss to the Texans. I think that's what I'll say. It's not. They're not a bottom feeder. That's for sure.
Fair.
So they draft. You wanted huge returns out of this draft class if you were them because of how much capital they had, how much they spent.
It appears they've gotten it.
Yes, and it appears they've gotten it. So
4-2. Zach Wilson, though, I don't know. There's gonna be question marks there for a while.
We'll see. To be a great quarterback, you need, you saw Josh Allen today, a minute left, bang, 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 huge toe, huge toe, huge toe.
Yeah.
Like you put the team on the back and you carry them with, like, even Rodgers today, horrible day, right? Like, play bad. Two of the greatest throws you'll like ever see in your life, though. Like, if you're a good quarterback, you make amazing throws every game. My jaw's kind of on the ground.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson and really none of the players in the last quarterback class or this quarterback class are there to this point. So,
valid.
Jets are good. Like, I'm sorry, Jets fans, you'll have to accept my Jets praise without, like, saying that Zach Wilson is like the catalyst to all of this happening. And you're just going to have to accept that from me.
You know who might be the catalyst, though, is Geno Smith. Once again, the Seahawks get a W. I don't know, man. And, actually, Geno might not have been the catalyst. He did have some nice plays where he got out of the pocket and made some nice stuff happen. Bro, Ken Walker has so much juice. That man has so much juice.
Very good. He looks just like he did at Michigan State. He's got so much burst. The one thing is that maybe every once in a while he tries to like create something that is not there. I feel like he had a couple plays like that. But outside of that, I mean, that one run he had was just ridiculous. And the contact balance and the quickness. That's really what it is. You get a guy who's quick like that with great contact balance, and it's really tough for them not to be a good running back. And he is a very good running back.
Did you see that mic'd up of Marlon Humphrey talking about Tyreek Hill? And he's like, the hardest guys to guard are ones who move like wobble. Did you see that mic'd up?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Ken Walker moves like Tyreek Hill in that way. He wobble. His steps are so close together. He's not a long strider. He's just constantly shifting his momentum and his leverage, and it's just tough to hit that moving target. He's not just running upright in this straight line. It's always low center gravity and just like 3 jukes in a second he'll hit. He'll just like left, right, and you're like, defenders will be like, whoa, like, where is this guy going? And then he'll just put his foot in the ground and actually commit away and then just slide off the arm tackle because the guy just can't. You can't just run and hit him because he could juke you out. You have to like really square him up, and that loses a lot of your hit power. So he just still like do that, and then he'll like stiff arm you, and then he'll like his lateral movement is just crazy. Like I love Rashad Penny. I love Rashad Penny.
This is hurt. Kind of bittersweet. But
I also love Ken Walker.
God damn.
The Seahawks are set at running back, man. I don't know if Rashad Penny will ever play for them again since he's out for the season and his contract is up with Ken Walker. But he reminds me of like a Jamal Charles, a LaShawn McCoy, like a true kind of speed back that is nasty. That was my takeaway from this game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defenses looked pretty interesting. Like JJ Watt, I was surprised to see how fast he was. Like he was kind of all over the field, over the backfield.
He's still a great player. I think the big thing, my takeaway from this is that the Seahawks defense might not be great, and I really think this being a low-scoring game says more about, nothing new about the Cardinals, but they suck. Their offense stinks.
Cliff Kingsbury is horrible, man.
Yeah,
he's a horrible coach.
I feel like with the Seahawks defense, it's like overall, is it great? No. But it's not like everyone's mid. It's like, but this player is good, and this young player is good, and this guy is good, and it's like, okay, but you've got some guys there. They're like 1 year away. They're 1 season away right now. One more offseason. This team is
great.
Yeah, man.
Man.
Woolen's him. Like
he's great.
The turnaround
his
that
ceiling
Woolen
is
has
like
made
higher than it is now. Like Woolen has this Hall of Fame potential. He's up pace for 11 picks this year.
No, I put the tweet out, like, pro tip, if he's 6'4" and runs like a 4.3, chances are worth taking. Like, I'm okay betting on guys like that.
And he's a converted wide receiver. He has
it's the
ball
rare
skills.
body type with with incredible like football skills and athleticism. It's just like you're not finding that anywhere else.
And I'll have to do a full review on him this week. But at the Senior Bowl, you'd watch him get torched by Velus Jones in the one-on-ones, like because his technique at the line of scrimmage was bad. But that really hasn't happened. It's not like he's boom or bust. It's like just all boom with him. The positives far outweigh the negatives with him. And
you'll have to do a review and let me. But are the Seahawks run? I feel like the Seahawks are running a lot more cover 3. It's not. I don't feel like he's manned up most of the time.
It's impossible to run more cover 3 if you're the Seahawks. They run more. They are cover 3.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. But like, I don't know. The jump that I feel like he's made since week 1 even is kind of astronomical, because I remember he was guarding Cortland Sutton and he like could not like correctly get his head around and track the football, and he was always grabbing on jerseys. But now it's like, oh, let me just flip my hips, turn around, and that's an interception. And I'm like, you cannot throw over him. You can't.
It's crazy.
The play he had last week, the play he had last week with Taysom Hill scored a touchdown on this play, so it's not like too crazy. Yeah. But if you watch him track Taysom Hill and try to catch up with him, like during the combine this year, like everyone was running their 40s and it was all so fast. I was like, wonder if it's something with the surface. Wonder if I can add like a 0.1 seconds to all of these 40 times or something. No, Tariq Woolen is just that fast.
He's just that fast. He just goes step for step with every receiver he lines up against. He goes stride for stride with easily. Like Marquise Brown, fast. Marquise Brown is fast. And he's like just running with. I'm like, God damn. Most corners aren't doing this. He's just
this isn't a game I paid attention to too closely. But D-Hop comes back, so I guess the question with the Cardinals
our fantasy team is saved.
I guess the question with the Cardinals is, what does that mean for them? And does that save them? To me, I think like no.
No. But it'll save our fantasy team. That's all I know.
I don't know.
Kyler Murray had
the Cardinals just don't.
Today. Good Lord.
Yeah, he had 100 yards rushing.
Kyler.
Yeah. D-Hop being back will maybe give them some juice, and this division isn't crazy great. I do think that D-Hop is a good player, but I don't know. I just think that this team is kind of fundamentally broken in terms of like their approach and their coaching staff and their front office. And I don't know if D-Hop is enough to save them from the lack of creativity and the lack of sense that a lot of their play calling makes. And we've seen them get figured out in the second half of the season time and time again. And, like with D-Hop and Marquise Brown left in this game. I'm not sure how severe that injury is, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're bad, and I don't think D-Hop can save them. But other than that, I don't have a ton of takeaways from this week, unless you guys have any kind of closing thoughts here.
No, I mean, when do these coaches get fired, man? When does Cliff get fired? When does
his contract goes until 2027? So same with Steve Keim. So
did
not for a,
so.
Fair. Yeah, I guess, but
yeah, we got to keep eyes on Zach Taylor and Cliff Kingsbury. Those are
shout out Jamar Chase. I guess that's my last thing for today.
Shout out
Jamar Chase balled out.
He's so nice.
Finally, he's very
good with the sauce. He's good with the sauce. All right, but I think that pretty much wraps things up for us. As always, tons of content coming away on all platforms. We will be back with a live stream to recap Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. Hopefully the Eagles have pulled this one out. I imagine they did. They're the best team. All right, goated with the sauce. Love to hear it. But until then, thank you all for tuning in. And we will see you all tomorrow. I guess tomorrow for those that are listening on Tuesday's YouTube live stream talking about Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. But until then, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.